Is sync licensing all about who you know? Let's talk about it. I hate to say this, but it actually kind of is about who you know. And most of us don't start with any connections at all. But that doesn't mean you can't build up a nice Rolodex of music library contacts, co-writers, sync agents, music supervisors, etc. It takes time, persistence, and hard work. We're going to be talking about networking in the sync licensing world. Networking is invaluable in this business, much like a lot of other businesses. So let's go over some of the different types of connections you can make and how to make those connections. And I'm going to start with a fun one. So co-writers. You don't necessarily need to work with co-writers, but if you do, it opens up a whole bunch of new worlds that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get into, like new different styles of music, people that are already in different libraries that are hard to get into, things like that. So yes, it is good to work with co-writers. You can get people who are playing instruments that you don't play, or people who sing if you don't sing, or even if you're a guy singer, you could get a girl singer for opportunities like that. There's a million different reasons why it's a good thing. And right now, I actually invite anyone watching this video to comment below and say what styles of music you're good at writing and what instruments you play, or if you sing or whatever. Let's start getting some co-writing going on. You could co-write with other people who are in the comments, so I think this would be a cool thing. Let's all network together. But anyway, yes, I have more than a handful of co-writers that I work with. So I do a lot of guitar, ukulele, and some vocals. I work a lot with people who do like electronic producing because I'm not so good at creating EDM, for example. It's just not my forte. But if I work with people who specialize in that, I can lend guitar and vocals and stuff to them. I do, and it's mutually beneficial. And I have other people who play these other instruments. You know, real drummer. Like I use fake drums, but having a real drummer is a big thing that could separate you from a lot of the fake stuff. One co-writer I've been working with for probably 5 or 6 years now. We've both gotten each other into a lot of different music libraries over the years, so it's good. There's a lot of stuff I wouldn't have gotten without him, and same for him with me as I'm now, more into the business. He kind of took me under his wing in the beginning of my career, but all right, so aside from co-writers, the next connection you can make is music library contacts and sync agents. I'm lumping them together. I know they're different things, but I'm lumping them together just because the way that you submit to them and things is very similar. And before I go any further, I just want to say don't spam any libraries or sync agents. I don't just send them your music like every week or something. My rule of thumb, if I submit something, I wait about 6 months or more until I submit to them again. Whenever I have another album that I think would fit them again, whether it's 6 months or more, sometimes it's a couple of years. Please don't do that. You might get blacklisted. They might just hide your emails or whatever. So for your own sake, don't do it. And just when you do submit to them, keep your emails short and sweet. In my early days, I would write a lot of albums and then just start pitching them to libraries, and then I would keep writing more. Some of them would respond, some of them wouldn't. That's just the nature of it. Most of them won't respond, to be honest. The ones who did respond, I followed up with them and just thanked them and said like, oh, maybe I'll reach out again in the future if I have something that might fit your catalog. Thanking them for checking out the music. Best case scenario, they do take the album, which is awesome. But if they at least responded, I keep a list of libraries that have responded to me before so that at least I know if I send something to them, they'll likely respond again. So that's important. Typically when I sign music with a library, a lot of times they'll add me to their list of composers they send briefs out to. So anyone who's been asking how to get onto brief lists, that's a way. If you have anything in their catalog and they get briefs, they are likely to send you something as opposed to somebody who's not in their library. And sometimes they'll send the briefs to every single composer they have. Sometimes they'll narrow it down to people that have similar types of music in their library. If you have a diverse catalog, then they might send more different things your way. So now that I've signed music with a lot of different libraries, I counted the other day, it's like over 40 libraries that I work with. I rarely need to seek out new ones, because if I write something new, I'll go through, I don't usually have to go through like 40 or whatever, but I'll go through like some of the ones that are really good for me, and I'll send it to them first and then send it to some other ones too. And then if I don't have any luck after a certain amount of time, I'll start to hit up some new libraries. So since I've gathered so many libraries in my arsenal, I don't really have to look too much anymore. And even about probably half of my time is spent on briefs now. I'm not writing in the dark, so to speak, as much as I used to, because I'll probably get, let's say I write, 4 to 6 tracks for briefs per month. That's pretty good. All right, networking. Here's another one. Personal clients. So this is something I've actually never really sought it out too much, but I've gotten over the years a lot more clients than I expected. And a lot of it is word of mouth. So like on my social media, my Facebook, Instagram and stuff, people know that I write music for TV and whatnot. So because I post like some of my recent placements that I've gotten. If there's videos, I'll post that. So people know that I do it. If anybody needs music like that, they'll reach out to me, which is cool. So if you don't do that already, at least network. I have a website too, which I've gotten some business through my website. Network on your website, your social media. If you don't have those things, start doing it. And you might get some personal clients, and those are good because you can set the price, and it's usually custom work too, which is fun. Just put yourself out there and respond to any emails you get, whether you can do it or not. I would respond. Next category, music supervisors. Once again, just don't spam these people. They're busy. We're all busy people, and if you bother them, they're just not going to answer you. But yes, having music supervisors that is a great way to get your music into specific TV shows, especially if you have like a niche style that's in a certain TV show. You might write some music that's similar to the music in their show and send it to them. It'd be great if you can do it this way because working directly with them is easier. You don't have to split the earnings with a music library or a sync agent, and you can keep the publishing share on the back end. Those are the categories we're going to go over. But one of the biggest ways you can network is to go to events, like networking events. There's the big, the PMC, the Production Music Conference. It's an annual event. This year it's in LA and it's in September. I'm not able to go this year actually, but I really do want to go next year. So if anyone's going, shout out in the comments. It's a big networking event. There's libraries there. There's speakers, other composers, sponsors, etc. So the point is basically to network. So I think you'll make a lot of connections if you go to one of those. Even a small amount of connections, if they're good ones, that's all you need. And some of my co-writers I work with are actually overseas or just in other states. So I might have like a group of us actually meet. We've never met in person, so it'd be cool to meet up in person for the first time. But yeah, if you go to an event like that, it's not cheap. You're probably going to have to pay for hotel and a flight, so save your royalties. That's the thing too, is in my early days, I wouldn't have gone to it, but now that I'm making more in royalties, I think probably like a month's worth of royalties could easily get me to the event. It's a long-term investment, but if I go and it's not an experience that I think was worth it, then I wouldn't go again. But to try it once, I think is good. There's other conventions too, like ASCAP has a convention, and there's a million of them out there, but the Production Music Convention is the big one. So I hope you guys get the idea. Yeah, so we're just talking about networking, and having connections is what you need to do. You have to reach out and make connections. Unless you're like the son of Eddie Van Halen, for example, you're not just like falling into the business. Work with a lot of different people, I suggest. You just get yourself out there. Even if you don't have a project that you can work on right now, still make a connection, and then like you'll have somebody who, I can go, there's a harp player that if I ever need a Celtic harp thing, I'll go to them, or a female pop singer. Make connections and then save them for a rainy day or whenever there's a brief that comes up. And just be patient too. This business is a long game. Not only because it takes a long time to earn royalties, but also because it takes a long time to build up a bunch of connections. Like I would say in my first 2 or 3 years, I made like 3 to 5 connections a year maybe. Now, a few years later, maybe 6 to 10 connections per year. So it is increasing, and with arguably less effort. So snowball effect. Think about if you did that every year, after 10 years, you would know a good amount of people in the business. This is a competitive business by nature, but it's also a collaborative business by nature. Nobody's doing everything. Well, maybe somebody is, but people working together usually yields a good product. So I think we can all thrive together. And please comment below whatever you play. I'd love to connect with anybody, especially if you play something unusual like harp or whatever, bagpipes. Thanks for watching, guys.